Hello, this is Jay. Welcome to Forbidden Files. Through history, people have been searching for one ultimate question: what is justice? Today, we are going to talk about a very intricate, creepy case. The difficulty in identifying a solid perpetrator and a victim and connecting all the leads together make the case terrifying, and might make it difficult for you to keep with me. This is the Mongolian model murder case. October 20, 2006, Kuala Lumpur Police Department received a strange phone call. The call was made from Mongolia by a girl who claimed to be the little sister of a model, Shari Bualtan Tuya. She said that her sister was traveling in Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia, but she lost contact with her sister from last night. Since the missing person was a foreigner, the police embarked on the investigation as soon as possible. But as soon as they started, the police found something really weird. There weren't any records of Altan Tuya's arrival in Malaysia. Then how could she possibly go missing in Malaysia? But the police called the sister back about it. She said that Altan Tuya entered legally with absolute certainty, and she had been traveling for a couple of days before they lost contact. The sister had contacted her in every possible way but failed. Then the worried sister realized that something was wrong, so she called the Kuala Lumpur police immediately. Though full of doubts, the foreign residency of Shari Bualtan Tuya would have caused diplomatic dispute if mishandled. The Malaysia police attached great importance to it and arranged many experienced police officers for an extensive search. About 1 month later, the Malaysia police found a fragmented body in a deserted area near the Subang Dam in Filename. This body was seriously damaged, but could be confirmed to be a female through preliminary identification. Forensic experts had to make a number of tests to identify whether it belonged to Altan Tuya or not. Then who was Shari Bualtan Tuya? Born in Mongolia in 1978, Shari Bualtan Tuya was beautiful. She went to the Soviet Union with her parents when she was little and received a good education there. It is said that she could speak fluent Mongolian, Russian, Chinese, English, and French. In 1990, Altan Tuya moved back to Mongolia as a teacher. Several years later, she married a Mongolian techno singer, Madai, but the marriage ended in divorce. A failed marriage, added with a failed job, depressed her. While she got a chance to attend modeling school for a short time in France. Despite her parents' disapproval, she headed to France alone, hoping that she could become a famous model in the fashion capital Paris and to have her mediocre life changed. Sadly, her brief modeling class only made she take a glimpse of the glowing fashion world, and nothing more. Unwillingly, she went back to Mongolia after her visa expired, but with her experience of studying modeling in Paris, she got to marry a local rich soon after she came back, and had a child in 2003. But sadly, this marriage also ended up in divorce. But this time, Altan Tuya didn't look so sad, for she received a large amount of money, enough for her to travel around and squander. 2006, on a trip to Malaysia, she vanished from the sight of the world. After days of hard work, the autopsy report showed that this body belonged to Shari Bualtan Tuya. Later, DNA tests also verified it. Strangely, they found 2 bullet holes and powder residue in the fragmented body. They concluded that after Altan Tuya was shot, her body was destroyed with C4 to destroy the evidence. Every police officer involved was shocked by its cruelty. The Malaysia police believed that Shari Bualtan Tuya's death might be the result of screwing with the wrong people. To catch the murderer as soon as possible, the police carried out a full investigation on her social relationship, expecting to find any possible clues. It was an experienced police officer who, from Altan Tuya's phone records, found that she was in extremely frequent contact with a Malaysian number. What was behind this? Dated back to 2004, while Altan Tuya was traveling in Hong Kong, she got to know a Malaysian official. His name is Abdul Razak Bajinda. He was anything but a nobody. He has a number of titles. The former political analyst of Malaysian Strategic Research Center and close associate of the Prime Minister and Minister of Defense then. As soon as Shari Bualtan Tuya met him, she took a fancy to Bajinda's power, and Bajinda to her beauty. They soon formed a secret relationship. Shortly afterward, Altantuya gave birth to Bajinda's child. 2 years later, in 2006, Altantuya asked him to divorce his wife and marry her. That's what a mistress would usually do. But for an influential official like Bajinda, every movement was under the spotlight. He wouldn't divorce his wife recklessly, which would not only affect his career but also his superiors. Moreover, Bajinda thought that Sharibu Altantuya must have slept with countless men. And she got to move up every time she divorced, which would make him another ladder for her. Bajinda would never marry a woman like her to cuckold him, so he turned Altantuya down sternly. Having been rejected by Bajinda, Altantuya was unwilling and wrathful. She asked Bajinda to pay her a huge amount of alimony, or she would turn in the evidence of him and his superior taking a €100 million kickback while purchasing arms from France to the media or his superior's political opponents. Bajinda was fretted. He stayed awake all night, wondering how could Sharibu Altantuya had the evidence of him taking kickbacks. When the sun was about to rise, he finally remembered how. Sharibu Altantuya was fluent in French, so Bajinda brought her to a negotiation with France, so she could both translate for him and have sex with him. It had never occurred to him that such a short negotiation provided a chance for the calculating Altantuya to seize the evidence of him taking kickbacks. The next morning, Bajinda was called over by his superior right after he arrived at his office. It turned out that his superior, Najib, heard about Altantuya's threat. Had his phone been monitored? It was a time when Najib was about to take the prime minister. There couldn't be any mistakes at this vital moment. Najib sullenly requested Bajinda put the thing down secretly. Bajinda knew Altantuya well, that she was both difficult and greedy. If he promised to give her money, she wouldn't stop intimidating him. What's worse, this was way over a simple relationship problem. It was seriously threatening his political career. He later made up his mind to end it once and for all, which means to kill Sharibu Altantuya. Altantuya had no idea then that everything had changed into a dead end. October 5, 2006, Altantuya received a call from Bajinda, who promised to give her $500,000 but only in cash. So she had to come to Malaysia to take the money. Sharibu Altantuya was overwhelmed about it. She didn't expect him would give her the money so easily, so she bought a plane ticket to Malaysia cheerfully. She could never have imagined that she was heading to her death. On the evening of October 19, 2006, Bajinda called Altantuya that to get the deal done somewhere. After Sharibu Altantuya arrived at the appointed place by taxi, either intentionally or unintentionally, she underpaid the driver for 10 Malaysian ringgit. She got off the taxi and left while the driver was counting up the money, but she didn't go far before being stopped and questioned by two plainclothes policemen. She wasn't worried, for she had legal entry formalities. She gave the policemen her papers, cooperated, but one of them frowned and requested her to go back to the police station for investigation. Altantuya didn't want to cause any trouble. She did as they said. But when she walked up to the so-called police car, she realized that it was just an ordinary car. Right when she was about to scream for help, a gun was stuck in her mouth. She was then taken to a deserted area by the car. Bajinda carefully chose the killers to make sure she dies. Chief Inspector Azila Hadri and Corporal Cyril Azhar Umar. They used to be elite members of Royal Malaysia Police Special Branch Counterterrorism Unit and was Najib's bodyguard then. Through negotiation, they believed that it wasn't enough to just kill Sharibu Altantuya. They had to destroy every piece of evidence. So they came up with the idea of using C4, a military explosive that is readily available for special forces, standing in the middle of a deserted forest, facing to a muck. Sharibu Altantuya realized that Bajinda was about to silence her. Frightened, she begged the killer for mercy. She promised to hand over every piece of evidence she had, if they could spare her life and her unborn baby's life. But Cyril Azhar didn't wait till she finished her last words. He shot at her, right to her left face. She fell to the ground. Then, the other killer, Azila Hadri, tied the C4 they had prepared to Altantuya. During this process, they found Altantuya was still breathing. Her begging eyes were full of tears and fear. Her body was trembling. She tried to say something, but nothing came out. Azar's heart softened for a while, but there was no way back. He shot again. They stepped back dozens of meters and hit the remote control. Sharibu Altantuya's trembling body was blown off. Though the two men thought they did everything unnoticed, them kidnapping Sharibu Altantuya was witnessed. Altantuya took a taxi to the appointed place, so when the driver realized she underpaid him, he rushed out for his money and witnessed the kidnapping accidentally. The alert driver remembered the car's plate number and called the police immediately. This police report was about to be erased, but Najib's political opponents seized this opportunity. They forced the police to carry out the investigation, to trace the car's movements, thus leading to the first crime scene. Right then, Bajinda and his superior Najib was busying destroying every possible evidence, including Altantuya's entry records, to frame her as a spy. To avoid the death penalty, the two killers in custody claimed that their superior lied that Sharibu Altantuya was an international spy. Azar exclaimed that he didn't know this woman at all. There was no way he would kill her, with such cruelty, if he wasn't following orders. He was told that this woman was an international spy and no one would chase him if he killed her. The court, of course, neglected their statement and sentenced them to death, but the ones behind, Bajinda and Najib, were acquitted. At the same time, Corporal Cyril Azar, competent yet bold, wasn't resigned to death, so he fled in the middle of the trial and have been hiding in Australia until now. The defeat in the 2018 general election of Malaysia overthrown Najib. Cyril then requested a full pardon from the new government. Only in this way would he return to Malaysia and reveal the truth, but the new government turned him down. May 18, 2021, after a 15 days long trial, the Malaysia High Court announced that former Prime Minister Najib was convicted in all 7 counts, including laundering 42 million ringgit in SRC International SDN BHD, and would sentence him in another day. In what way would justice come? I believe we will know it soon.